Hello, I'm ABC7's Theresa Gutierrez. On this edition of the Emmy Beat, we'll turn our focus to entrepreneurship. Along with my colleagues Stacey, Baca, and John Garcia, we'll highlight several Chicagoans who are taking care of business. A leap of faith, a lucky break. These Latinos and Latinas are leaving nothing to chance, armed with guts, experience, and education. From his home base right here in Chicago, artist and designer Diego Rocha has staked his future on our need for a handbag. Stacey, Baca has his story.
Brazilian-born Diego Rocha has always believed that he could make a great handbag, so he took the chance and he put his name on the line.
I knew it would be a huge risk to start a business that I had no idea how to start. I said, why not? I'm going to take the risk and I know I can make it.
While studying in New York and working for a handbag designer, Diego Rocha began toying with the idea of developing his own brand.
I thought I can do something better. Every bag is a challenge. Sometimes a piece is more difficult than the other ones, but in the end of the day, I know I can do it.
Self-taught and determined to succeed, Diego's handbags were quickly noticed by customers of Macy's and Bloomingdale's. Besides retail and internet sales, Diego is happy to set up an appointment and have customers shop in his studio.
If they want a customized bag, they are more than welcome to come to the studio. Whatever it needs to be a perfect bag for that particular person, I will do it. I just want to have my customer really happy. I like to be in touch with my clientele. I work with women, they have so many brands, so all the time I'm trying to make something they don't have, and being in touch with them, I think that's the key, to understand your client, who you're designing for.
30 to 40 hours of detailed cutting and sewing go into each finished clutch or handbag.
I start with a sketch and started cutting the cardboard and decided the shape and the size of the bag. I'm very particular with the sewing and I like to be very precise about everything. It has to be perfect.
Expecting nothing less than perfection limits the amount of handbags Diego can make in a year, and that drives his price, but it also distinguishes his work.
I think bags are really a piece of jewelry, especially for the price and for the craftsmanship. It's just a piece of art.
With a wide variety of styles and designs, I'd like to think that there's a Diego Rocha in my future.
Maybe in 5 or 10 years I'll do shoes. Who knows?
Handbags aren't the only high-end accessory that have a Latino touch. In Chicago, if you need a yacht to go with your sense of style, then Karma Yacht Sales in Bridgeport will help you set sail.
I first learned to sail at the age of 10 at scout camp, getting my small boat sailing merit badge. And then when my career brought me back here to Chicago, I bought my first sailboat with my brother and 2 friends. And that was our first venture into boat ownership.
In 2002, along with his good friend Jack Bucio, Lou launched Karma Yacht Sales, an opportunity to return home and establish a business that would anchor his passion for sailing on the docks of Lake Michigan.
What formed my entrepreneurship was growing up, seeing my dad put a lot of hours into being a company guy at the steel mill. And then of course when the steel mills closed, he lost his job. What this country has to offer is the ability to start your own business and lead your own path. And so even when I worked in corporate America, I saw my ultimate vision was to own my own business.
Located in Bridgeport, Karma Yacht Sales is now Lake Michigan's preeminent sailboat dealership, specializing in Beneteau sailing yachts.
That offers a lot of value for the price that you're paying. And that's kind of what drew us to Beneteau originally, and what we've built out of our involvement in the sailboat brokerage market. The residual value of the vessels is also very important. Beneteau leads in that. I'm very passionate about making sure that the sport of sailing reaches a lot of different people. And that's kind of what I'm committed to. That's why I feel that that's my mission. And when we named the boat, our very first boat, Karma, Our belief is that, by doing well by our customers, it all kind of comes back to us in the end.
Racing takes his passion for sailing to another level, competing in the well-known Chicago Yacht Club race to Mackinac for the last 10 years. Lou and his crew boast 4 out of 5 wins in their racing division. While sailing may not be for everyone, Lou's passion is infectious, hoping to make this elite sport available to everyone looking for a little freedom on the waves of Lake Michigan.
My vision for boating in Chicago is that it becomes a more inclusive sport that's available to people of all different walks of life. Being Latino, it's something that I'm very passionate about, and having grown up on the southeast side, where if it wasn't for scouting, I may have not gotten that experience to being on the water and being a sailor. And I make sure that a lot of people have that opportunity. I'm very involved in scouting today in terms of bringing scouting to the Latino community. But more importantly, our vision revolves around the ability to kind of have a community sailing center that will allow, people from the south side of Chicago or wherever, from different neighborhoods, children that normally wouldn't even know what a sailboat is or what the lakefront has to offer, will have the opportunity to come out, experience it.
And have always led the way as captains. Opportunities for today's entrepreneurs are everywhere. We'll meet Alicia Gonzalez, Run, and Nancy Andrade, East Foods. Welcome back to the Enya Beat. The nonprofit sector is not often seen as the playing field of entrepreneurs. Alicia Gonzalez is challenging that assumption, 1 mile at a time, 1 child at a time. John Garcia has the story.
To say that Chicago Run is just a running program would be to sell it a little short. This 2-year-old program is off to a good start in about 30 Chicago public schools. But don't just take my word for it. If you want to know the program works, ask the kids.
They force me to run. No, they don't force me, but I run and then they cheer me on, so I keep going and going.
I feel sweaty and happy, but at the end, I feel glad that I actually finished it.
At Walsh Elementary School in Pilsen, the Chicago Runners program is mandatory at all grade levels. Middle school students who choose to run a little more can sign up for the Chicago Running Mates program.
It's an awesome program and they make you exercise a lot, but it's worth it. Running can increase your grades and you can learn almost everything with running.
As an educator, I would definitely recommend this program. This is a great way to bring in health and the overall well-being of our students, and doing it in a way that they really feel part of a positive group.
It helps bring my school together, it helps bring parents and children together, and really helps bridge the community together towards not just running, but health, nutrition, and these types of things that really make a huge impact on the education of the children.
From start to finish, Executive Director Alicia Gonzalez is the pulse of Chicago Run, committed to serving the underserved.
I grew up in Pilsen. Back in 30 years ago, it wasn't safe to run the streets. I brought to Chicago Run my own past background in community organizing, my own past connection to the community.
The Chicago Run program has a staff of just 3, but they manage and coach about 6,000 student runners.
A child who might not have ever been active or doesn't even like to participate in PE is very welcome in our programs. And I think that those are the kids that actually excel the most because they see the biggest changes in themselves. It doesn't distinguish any kid from another, and so they're all rewarded. They're all learning about, leadership and goal setting.
Encouraging good nutritional habits, training on elliptical machines, or mapping their own virtual marathon via the Chicago Run website are all part of Alicia's efforts to tap their potential as runners and students.
We are proud to announce that on Sunday we will have 55 of our running mates participating in the Shamrock Shuffle as the culminating event for their winter program.
Recently at Niketown, the Chicago running mates met and ran with Sarah Reinertsen, the first female amputee to complete an Ironman triathlon.
The Nike event was great because they were actually able to see an elite athlete who had overcome a lot of adversity and had triumphed with one leg. That's pretty inspirational.
As a marathon runner myself, I know sometimes you hit a wall late in the race, but Alicia says this race is still in the early miles and there's no finish line in sight.
The community needs to want a program like Chicago Run. And honestly, the program is as successful as the leadership within the school. So when you have a strong advocate in a school for a program like Chicago Run, the better it's going to be.
Our next story has another young Latina in a race all by herself. I sat down with attorney Nancy Andrade at the Whole Foods in Lincoln Park. Oddly enough, it is where she feels most comfortable now that her career has taken a new direction. Why did you decide to leave a promising law career to start a tamale business?
Call it fate, call it destiny. I was working at a large law firm. At that time, there were only 4 Latino attorneys. I would always get asked, where can I get good Mexican food, specifically tamales? I said, you want a good tamale? My mom and dad make a pretty good tamale.
You're selling all these tamales to your colleagues and to your friends, and did you weigh thinking, wait a minute, this is not bad money that I'm making here?
I started taking a hard look at how much money we were making selling the tamales at the firm, and I said, I think I'm onto something.
In 2003, Nancy and her family launched MexiFeast Foods Incorporated, a brand that now supplies Whole Foods and Jewel Osco.
In addition to being the president, legal counsel, I'm also the demo girl, and I'm the sales girl. And doing the different demos, that's how I realized people would ask, is there a non-meat option? Is there a vegan or a vegetarian option?
If there is any question of authenticity, Nancy was smart enough to stick to the old family recipe for her tamales.
It is a family recipe. We have the classic tamale, which is our beef tamale, the pork tamale, and the chicken in salsa verde. I have to admit that the tamales are natural line, which is what we sell to Whole Foods, the chicken chipotle, the vegan, the veggie and cheese. That is strictly my creation. Theresa, you and I both know that there is no such thing in Mexico as a chicken chipotle tamale. That flavor just does not exist. But here in the United States, chicken chipotle is very popular, very robust, earthy flavor that the consumers would like, and that's what I created.
You like being referred to as the tamale lawyer.
A word has gotten out in the local food industry that I am a lawyer, and so people treat me a little bit differently, with a little bit more respect. It doesn't matter how old you are, you're always a student of life.
She credits her tenure as corporate securities lawyer as time well spent, learning the power of negotiation. It's a lesson she shared with the next generation of entrepreneurs.
I tell them my story, I tell them to dream big, to learn from me, and yes, I've made some mistakes along the way, but mistakes, you learn more from your mistakes than from your successes.
And success continues to be Nancy's calling card with her recent nomination to the Supreme Court Bar, inspired by the appointment